Yeah. My name is Paul Qiu. I have been in Cisco for 19 years. During those 19 years, my whole job was doing, cyber security. I've been doing that for 19 years. After I left Cisco, I joined Woody. I'm the senior manager of the SOC, Security Operations Center in India. Pretty much help them to build the next generation security operations center. After that, I joined AWS, building AWS the next generation enterprise network. You guys already know, right? Many of the recent attack was coming from either online or enterprise network. So, large enterprise network, for example, like AWS, right? They got how many people? Or Amazon, millions of employees. How to secure the enterprise network is a huge challenge. Why? Because there's so many things was in there, which actually, I've been there doing the work for them. And now, actually, I'm in Google. Same thing, building Google's next generation highly secured enterprise network. For the same reason, Google is a global company with offices in everywhere in the world, right? Similar thing, we're facing very similar challenge. How to prevent people, hacking into the network, from the network, get into the data center or somewhere to get the crown jewel. That's the huge challenge, right? Without any further delay, I'm gonna, explain, this kind of thing. So, the agenda here is I'm gonna explain the large enterprise cybersecurity challenge. Basically, coming from my almost like over 20 years, experiences in here, right? So then how could we fill the gap? Then I'm gonna do one incident response case study. Obviously, in the e-learning platform we build, we can do more than, 10, 20 different case study, and that's real life case study. But here, we just, using one as example, give you a little bit taste. I believe I have 25 minutes. I don't believe this is going to be done in 25. I try to do the best I can. If you feel like, too fast, the pace too fast, I will try to slow down a little bit, right? But, ideally, this can be interactive because in the real world, actually, this is a competition. So we have a blue team, red team. We try to launch those kind of competitions. But obviously, in the seminar, it's a little bit difficult. That's just to do this presentation, give you a little bit taste of what exactly CyberRange looks like. So what's the existing large enterprise cybersecurity challenge? So you guys already know, right? The biggest problem for them is right now, the whole world is short of cybersecurity, expert. I mean, so a lot of people say they might know how to deal with cybersecurity problem, but you guys already know, right? How to managing a firewall, IPS, or something is not really a cybersecurity problem. The real cybersecurity problem we're gonna look into from layer 1 to layer 7. Also look into APIs like Optus API issues, and you really have a very solid foundation in networking, application, even some sort of the programming, a little bit scripting, programming background. The skill set required is quite a lot. So therefore, right now, we do really see the problem, of the cybersecurity is like, people, process, and technology. Particularly people, there's a huge gap, of the talented cybersecurity talent in there. How do we fill the gap? So ideally, it's like this, right? We can using the automation. Remember, in last 2-3 years, my job is try to automate, running a team full of, people with networking, security, also automation skills. Try to automate as more as you can, because sometimes when you got the security attack, you try to leverage human to response is too slow. But again, if you completely rely on automation, there's a lot of false positive noise. You're potentially launching your own, DDoS, right? If people found a pattern, they trigger that pattern. Actually, you actually block yourself. So therefore, yes, we're gonna continue automate, and in the meanwhile, try to improve the process and make sure things gonna be working well, right? That's a long journey. Hopefully, in the future, the AI gonna be helping us, but the question gonna be right now, even the hackers leveraging AI to launch attack, right? I'm sure, very soon you're going to see, from defending side, we're going to embed it more AI, capability in there. So what exactly we do here? We have some sort of the cyber landing simulation, like, we actually put you like a flight simulator, right? You can experiencing all the real world, scenarios, attack scenarios in there. Today, you're going to experiencing one case study. If you have, some interest, you can contact the GR Academy, right? We can, enroll you to the, the long, like a few months, journey, and you can really grow yourself from the junior SOC analyst until the, like, the level 3, like a threat hunter, right? Instant responder we call it, right? That's the whole journey of that. Actually, everything is coming from Confucius. You guys already know, 2,000 years ago, Confucius said, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand, which means what? If you hear about cybersecurity, who cares? If you see a demo, wow, this is fun. But what we do is really invite you to investigate all sorts of the cyber attacks, command control, botnet, malwares, virus, DDoS, whatever different. When you're expressing that, you say, oh, this is how you detect. This is how you mitigate. This is how you try to implement long-term solution. With that, you actually build a very, very good picture how the security is supposed to look like. Then you can working in the SOC, or you can working in the security engineer team or architecture team, right? Which is going to help out. For example, right now, I'm actually was managing a team building the next generation enterprise network. But the whole foundation is we need to build something very secure. Otherwise, there's no point called next generation if people can walk into your office, easily jumping from one segment to another, eventually get something out of or put malware in there, infect your whole network, right? Google network, AWS network, or whatever the enterprise network. That's why security was embedded everywhere, going to help you, benefit you, whatever the job you're going to get. In here, you can try the SOCJewel.com. There's a lot of live jewels, hands-on labs, and also it's all self-paced e-learning in there. The major things I want to hear, obviously, I'm not going to talk about in there. The major thing is architecture, and also the exactly based on what kind of architecture you building this kind of the platform. What skill you need, right? A lot of the cybersecurity training is you got the one like a Kali Linux, right? Another one is a Meta Explorer. In the middle, maybe a virtual router. Three things, right? One attack VM, one virtual router, one the Linux Meta Explorer server. That's 3 things. You build this kind of environment, you practice, you say you understanding cybersecurity. But our one, later on you're gonna see this kind of the architecture is extremely comprehensive, like a defense level architecture in there. I'm gonna talk about more architecture. So what exactly is, you guys probably heard about NIST, right? So from identify, protect, detect, response, recovery. So this actually was embedded in many of the operations. If you look into most of the top banks, right? CBA, the ANZ, or the, NIB, all these top banks, even the Reserve Bank of Australia, or even the government agencies, or NBN, Telstra, whatever, they all follow very similar this kind of the framework for the instant response, right? Identify what's the attack, try to protect, detect, and also you trigger the instant response. If something was happening, there's always have recovery, right? You can recover in a few hours, or even disaster recover probably in 24 hours, those kind of things. The whole list, you can browse, Google it, you can probably find more detail in there. Also, you guys probably, if you want to get a security job, people often in the interview asking, do you know Meta attack framework? And that's almost like a fundamental, you're working on cybersecurity. If you don't know, just search Meta attack framework. Basically what it is, right? It's like a framework based on this kind of the threat attack. This is the detection. This is the control, how to mitigate. So literally there's a lot of different attacks based on, like credential stuffing, or, maybe malware. Based on that kind of attack, this kind of control, either firewall, IPS, or, maybe authentication, whatever, all different control response to the the different threats. Many of the security product right now, they are mapping to the meta attack framework. For example, if you heard very famous, those kind of the security product like a Splunk, they embedded meta attack framework in their SIEM, right? Also, maybe CrowdStrike. If you're using CrowdStrike, like the EDR, like endpoint discovery, detection discovery system, actually, you'll probably notice, every time, you launch an investigation, you'll probably tell you what's the meta attack framework they are using. Same thing here. We are leveraging the same meta attack framework to design the attack and the detection and mitigation incident response process. This is a very old framework. You guys probably know. Majority of the attack was falling to APT chain. I think you guys already know. A few days ago, there's another US mobile has been, hacked, right? I think how many 35 million credential has been stolen. That is a very famous APT attack, right? APT has been there forever. How they launch that? Normally APT is about 2 to 4 months. So in the beginning, they do this kind of reconnaissance. Hey, we have this seminar. You know me. Paul want to hiring continually for the large organization like Google, AWS, whatever it is. This is my CVA, right? So before you do that CVA, right? You actually go home, embedded a malware in there. That's called weaponized. Reconnaissance understand Paul is here. A weaponized build a malware in your CVA, and then you send me an email, say, hey, Paul, this is my CVA. I'm looking forward to working for this large organization. And then when I click the email, right, and then it's actually installed the malware on my laptop. And after that, when I was doing work, the command control channel was built to the cloud or somewhere. From that, you can control the machine and you start, exploring the network I'm in. And probably obviously, you're going to take some time to understand which one is most important information. After you spend about 1 month, 2 months, eventually you get what you want. So that's called reconnaissance, weaponized, delivery, exploit, install, control, and eventually you get the data stolen. That's the very famous Lockheed Martin APT chain, right? So right now still embedded heavily everywhere. In the cybersecurity world and also in our, this kind of our simulation. In matter of fact, every case study I show you here is an APT, right? We almost embed 20 different APT attack. Some are simpler, some very sophisticated APT attack. You guys can experiencing that. So that's why I keep mentioning, right? This simulation is not like only 3 box, like Cadiness, Meta Explorer, or router. Look at that, how many things was in there, right? We got threat intel, web security, email security, IPS firewall, WAF, and also we have NetFlow, identity, and also we have Splunk as a SIEM, and also all sort of the different attacks, and also identity analysis as well, identity-based analysis. So this is actually the common technology we try to simulate, right? Actually, you can see there's 18. Right, I'm not going to go through the different detail. There's many of these very famous vendors in there. In the platform, we try to be vendor agnostic. So what we do in here, we not mention particular any vendor. This is all open source platform in there. There's almost like 17 different, technology was embedded there, all using open source platform. But we are doing the same thing as the $1 million license paid. This is, by the way, is most enterprise right now are using, right? And this is actually what we already built. With no delay, I'm gonna move into the instant response case. Remember, we mentioned about you guys want to do instant response. With this kind of skill, you can working in the SOC, you can working in any organization as a senior security engineer, right? So what exactly involved in there? You can remember, if one thing you can remember, you need to remember this slides and next slides. In the instant management process, we got identification, triage, investigation, containment, remediation, and PIR, post-instant review. Again, repeat again. Identification, triage, investigation, containment, remediation, and post-instant review. Almost all the large organizations are using the same instant response process to do it, right? No exceptions. Again, some might be more details or call something different, but majority of them are follow the same thing. Also, if you're working in a SOC, NOC, or any security operation or networking operation, there's a very similar concept called P1, P2, P3, P4. Again, some companies even have a P0. When you got really P0 situation, means you probably directly take your CXO, like Chief Information Officer, whatever, like, the one Optus leak, right? That's definitely not even beyond P1, it's a P0, that's the highest one. But normally speaking, we don't see P0 very often. Normally it's a P1, P2, P3, P4. Again, I'm not going to read through the detail. You know this is a process. This is actually what happened for different parties. With no delays, I'm going to jump into the case study and give you a little bit taste. So this could be any company, right? We call it XYZ company. There's a SOC team. You know the SOC team normally is 24x7 or 24x8, 5, whatever. I mean, so they are doing the analyze. Normally you see the movie, people watching the large screen try to capture the bad guys. And now it is, right? So that's the background information. Suddenly the SOC hotline phone was ringing. There's something people was, very quite suddenly, the red, the phone was ringing, right? Something was very bad happening. You see, this what happening, right? So this, if people really have a little bit, networking background, you probably know what's a NetScaler. NetScaler is pretty much like a load balancer, right? So they realize there's under some sort of DDoS for multiple subnet on port UDP 443, which is not easy, not difficult to identify because, in any large organization, they have many tools monitor different traffic pattern using NetFlow or many tools. They probably very quickly identify there's a lot of, the traffic going to UDP port 443, right? This actually impacting what? Impacting the web service. Why? Because we got a large volume of, traffic going to your network. And if you got, web service was hosting in there, then eventually causing, obviously the website not even completely done yet, but it's extremely slow. So they seeking they're seeking the help from SOC. Say, what do we do? I mean, customer complain, we can't even put order in. Yeah, the website's still there, but when you try to, input some order, anything is extremely slow. So let's follow the, the SOC process, right? We identify the problem, we under some sort of DDoS. Number one thing we triage. What should be the severity of the incident, right? Is it going to be a P1, P2, P3, or P4? So number one thing is based on different priority, obviously sometimes even as a P0, but right now, this is clearly not a P0 because it's just slow, not even, very bad yet. So based on that, I'm going to go back here, look into the, definition of the, all the thing here, right? Look at that P1 is massive impact, right? Potentially because your website already slow, could be, stopped anytime. During that time, to be very safe, I believe, we should classify as a P1. Obviously, with the P1, you have, very limited time to get it done, right? This is a SLA, service level agreement. So based on the P1, you have to respond in 15 minutes and you solve the problem in 1 hour, right? That's typically P1. And then, you're gonna probably get everyone available to jump in to help out. Normally P1 is the whole SOC team, like 3 or 4 people gonna be working together, try to deal with the situation. And then you're probably with all the expert in there, you're asking a lot of, the input. One of them they provide you is the packet capture. You guys, if you guys are networking engineer, right? You're working network, you probably understand as the networking engineers, you probably see a lot of this kind of packet capture in there. See that? You see a lot of, the fragmented, the certificate, in there, just the hello and fragment certificate and keep going with the, this kind of things. You really don't know this is good or bad, right? This moment. What do you do? Very simple. You don't need to know. You just Google standard DTLS packet, what it looks like. So this is actually the standard packet for, the DTLS handshake, right? You say hello, verify the request, and then you go to key exchange. After that, you start exchange the application data. That's a standard. You can Google it, DTLS, how they do the handshake. You probably download the packet capture. you can using, the Wireshark, you can open this. You're going to see very similar thing. And look into previous slides. What happened, right? Keep sending fragment certificate, never finish those handshake. So the investigation got asking, do you think this DTS traffic is normal, abnormal? I have no idea, you tell me. Obviously, I mean, most people going to say, I have no idea, but if you really are SOC analyst, right? You are working as cybersecurity, you probably think this is not normal. Why? Because clearly, right? This is normal, this is not normal. You don't need to understand technology just purely based on your basic watching the pattern. Actually, cybersecurity very important, found out the pattern. The pattern is very different, right? You don't see the application data. And they never finish the, key exchange. That's abnormal. So, what kind of the DDoS is this one, right? So, based on this one, you look into there's a slow loris, brute force, could be a DTS flood or, DTS amplification, and reading about this one, right? So you see that other engineer report with multiple amplifying response to follow service security. See that someone sending this one, you're actually sending large, responding packet out. So that's actually falling to amplification DDoS attack. What that means is someone trigger you actually DDoSing third party. This is very common, right? So they don't want directly attacking maybe some government agencies. They leverage your vulnerability to launch a DDoS. They think you are the one attacking them. Guess what? Someone just triggered that kind of DDoS. That's called amplification DDoS, which is very severe because other government will think you are launching from Australia, launching DDoS for. Guess in their case, actually, they are launching the attack for the casino in South America, right? So that's actually the more detail we found out. So for this instance, after charge and how you're gonna do sending the email, because obviously for P1, you need to immediately communicate to your senior leadership, right? Because they are very eager to understand what we do with that. So are you gonna send into the legal team, like lawyers, and also public communication, announce to the, the public say, hey, my company has been under attack, or risk compliance, we have a risk, or SOC manager, head of security operation, and chief information officer? The answer is very obvious, right? You don't want to talk to lawyer, otherwise you're gonna asking a lot of questions for you. Hey, what's the legal implication? You don't want to talk to the media, right? And you're sure gonna go down like crazy. And you don't want to talk to risk compliance because right now you don't know anyone doing anything wrong, or you have no idea any compliance. So the best thing is talking to the SOC manager and head of security, head of the security operation, and also CISO, because they are the reporting chain, and they can, based on the information, give you the support. For example, say, do you need to bring more senior people in there? What kind of the damage has been causing? If you need to do some quick the mitigation, I will authorize you to do certain shutdown, certain things right in there. So that's the number C is actually the one you should take, right? Initial, heads up. Then obviously, as the analyst, the most important you're gonna contain, because if the DDoS continue going, your customer gonna still slow put order in your website. You got the immediate business impact, right? You have to contain the situation ASAP. So how you gonna contain it, right? What's the most effective way? So A is blocking as many as IP subnet, maybe, but is that most effective? Take the website out of the service. Congratulations, you're actually helping the attacker achieve their DOS goal, right? They actually just want you the website out of service. Or you can disable, the configuration, disable DTOS, right? Or blocking inbound traffic for TCP port 443, right? I mean, so in this scenario, right, A and B obviously is not the best idea. That's really not, right? So in that case, right now, because it's especially targeting for DTOS and a port 443, in this case, right, C and D is the most important because you really don't want people, to do that, right? In matter of fact, actually C disable that DTLS because actually that's the service they try to do the handshake, right? So disable C is the most, the interesting one. If you're not sure, you can do D. If it doesn't change anything, you can enable that. Sometimes it's nothing to, when you're really in this case, you can try different things. But definitely not take off your website or, do anything. A, you can try, but that's probably going to take you forever because people continue to change their subnet. You're probably going to blocking half the world. Still not going to stop it, right? So C will be most effective. Okay, so, and then, how do we evaluate attack has been made? Because you implement the one, right? So you realize, right? The traffic has been stopped, right? After you've done that. And website is normal. People can put order in, right? And also you can see the, bandwidth. Previously, like a 20 gig, 100 gig. Now it's like back to normal. Normal is normally 5 to 10 gig, something like that. And also you need to conform is the application owner, right? You can see the order continue come in. And then, everything's back to normal. Until that, you can say, oh, we successfully contain the attack, right? And then, during that moment, you can do rest of the things, which is actually, normally that's the time you're calculating your SLA, service level agreement. After that, you're going to think about give some recommendation. This is going to take you forever. Sometimes remediation take about 1 week or 1 month or something, right? So you can give the recommendation, say, hey, it's something to do with, maybe the Citrix vulnerability or something. You want to, patch, all these kind of things, right? So increase the internet bandwidth is not going to help you, right? When you're under DDoS, doesn't matter how much bandwidth they're going to consume. You increase to 200, gig, still not going to help. Upgrade internet firewall. The problem is not firewall. It's not going to help you. Patch web server. The web server is perfectly fine. The problem is actually the load balancer, right? Which is actually using the Citrix as the core. So you need to upgrade to the recommended version with the fix, right, for that one. So sometimes but again, you can schedule that kind of the the downtime to do that. It's not going to immediately. Sometimes take weeks to schedule the upgrade. Okay, after remediation, also we gonna conducting some sort of the more due diligence, right? So conform all these things are none. So SOC leverage all the threat advisory and sending to everyone, right? And also all the business unit gonna try to upgrade their things and consider a 3-month period. So basically recommend everyone review the NetScaler devices, right? Those are really decent recommendations. You guys already know, right? In the remediation, since you got almost like a few weeks or a few months to do this one, so you can do A, B, C, D, everything, right? Or basically D, you need to recommend people to do their work and to secure the backyard. So that's why normally remediation will take a quite long time to do it. Again, normally we're hosting weekly, they called PIR, post-incident review. What they do in there is, so what you have done well, right? And the playbook, right? Where the playbook is not for play, just basically when you see similar DDoS, how are you going to improve better, right? Is that we can capture the similar process, right? And we can see the creating the IOC to the automation, right? Remember I said automation, if similar in the future, say that we can create automation directly go there to disable certain services or blocking incoming 443 whatever, right? One thing we don't do is we don't do end-to-end architecture review. That is actually normally have most of the enterprise have an architecture team. They have an enterprise architect and also have a solution architect. Architecture team will do end-to-end architecture review and assessment. We can give recommendation, but definitely SOC should not be involved in those kind of owning that, right? We can help them out, provide recommendation, but it's up to the architecture team to do that. So therefore, we do ABC, but we don't do D as well, right? With that, we complete the whole instant response, process. So basically, this is actually the journey, right? You are the to do the analyst overview, basically, like a junior level. Then you can go to the analyst 1, analyst 2, and then you can, go to the mentor if you really want to set up, your career path. Again, the salary was based on a long time ago, right? I'm pretty sure right now you guys already know the salary right now increased dramatically. So basically, probably right now it's 20-30% much higher than what exactly it is. With that, that's the whole journey when you want to be a senior SOC analyst or a cybersecurity engineer. This is the information, you can go to, that small startup company, right? With all the information, or sending to the GR Academy, right? They are the strategy partner with us. And thank you.